Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for hearing my testimony and for taking me out of turn today. I am here on Senate 1108, House 1705, an act prohibiting body size discrimination, which is filed in the House by my friend and colleague, Representative Tram Nguyen. This bill is endorsed by several organizations from whom I expect you will hear if you have not already. This bill is reported out with thanks to you for your leadership and your collaboration. This committee has reported this bill favorably twice before. Unfortunately, we have yet to get the bill across the ultimate finish line, so we have refiled again, and hopefully third time's the charm. This filing is identical to the iteration of the bill that was reported out favorably last term. Body size discrimination is a pervasive and deeply regressive issue in our society. People whose bodies do not meet Western beauty standards are often denied basic empathy in their daily lives, let alone equity or inclusion. While mistreatment due to height and weight happens to people of all sizes, fat people face particularly stark discrimination, including wage penalties, barriers to housing, eating disorders, and even lack of access to life-saving medical treatment. Despite a significant body of research documenting the detrimental effects of body size discrimination, there is no legal prohibition against this unjust treatment in our Commonwealth. Lack of legal protection leaves people without an avenue for legal recourse when faced with body size discrimination, and also fails to deter such repugnant behavior in the first place. If your body is considered too large, and specifically too fat, by today's social standards, you are more likely to be rejected when applying for jobs, to earn less at work, and to be disciplined more harshly, even after accounting for demographic differences. Women bear the brunt of body size discrimination, which occurs frequently, and one longitudinal study shows that shifting less than 2 points on the inherently flawed BMI scale correlates with decreased earnings for women without a similar effect on men. You are more likely to experience public spaces that do not accommodate you or even cause physical harm to your body. You are more likely to have healthcare providers overlook medical issues, attribute all health problems to your weight, and prescribe weight loss as a prerequisite for other treatments, which can cause avoidance of medical care in its entirety in order to avoid maltreatment. You are more likely to have weight-based stigma result in other negative outcomes and effects, such as depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and even substance abuse. This is an issue of intersectional justice. Body size discrimination is intertwined with systemic racism, sexism, and ableism. The tool most used to label people obese or morbidly obese, depending on the situation, is called the body mass index, or BMI. It is not only subjective and rooted in social mores having nothing to do with meaningful medical practice or health standards, but also fails to account for differences among racial and ethnic groups, sexes, genders, and even ages. Indeed, BMI is so flawed that earlier this year, the American Medical Association cautioned against using BMI as the only tool to diagnose obesity. Let's put it plainly and clearly. A person's appearance simply should not dictate or even influence whether that person is treated with dignity and respect in healthcare, employment, housing, education, and public and other spaces. This bill would address the problem head-on and prohibit body size discrimination by adding height and weight to our existing anti-discrimination law, alongside race, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical disability, and other protected classes. According to a 2015 survey, public support for adding weight to anti-discrimination statutes increased 78%, and other jurisdictions have already acted to prevent this discriminatory treatment. Michigan has had this statute on its books for 50 years. New Jersey is considering a similar bill this session. The New York State Senate has this term already passed comparable legislation, which now awaits action in the State Assembly, and I add that it passed the Senate by an overwhelming majority on the floor with a vote of 54-8. New York City, with a population of 1 million people more than our Commonwealths, now bans body size discrimination after Mayor Eric Adams signed legislation earlier this year adding height and weight to the city's human rights law. The prohibition took effect last month. Several other municipalities have similar body size discrimination on their books, including Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Santa Cruz, Madison, Wisconsin, Urbana, Illinois, Binghamton, New York, just to name a few. We all deserve to be treated with human decency and respect in our own bodies, whatever our bodies look like. Passing this bill will be a monumental step in the right direction and will advance both public health and social justice. And I am unaware of any opposition to this bill's passage. I ask for another swift and favorable report, and I thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Good afternoon. Thank you for receiving my testimony in support of an act prohibiting size discrimination. I am Tigress Osborn, Executive Director of NAAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. For 54 years, NAAFA has fought for the rights of fat people with a mission of changing perceptions of fat and ending size discrimination. At NAAFA, we use the word fat intentionally to help destigmatize the word by using it in neutral and affirming ways. We advocate on behalf of all who experience weight stigma and injustice because their bodies are larger than the societal ideal. We fight anti-fatness, which creates systemic barriers for larger-bodied people in education, employment, housing, access to equitable health care, and many forms of public accommodation. Size discrimination exponentially expands the injustice faced by fat people who are already discriminated against for other aspects of their person, especially Black and brown people, LGBTQIA people, and disabled people. NAAFA co-founded the Campaign for Size Freedom because fair treatment for people of all sizes should be a legal right everywhere. Research by Dove shows that body size discrimination harms at least 34 million Americans every year and costs millions. Outlawing size discrimination benefits people of all sizes. But as the director of NAAFA, my specific job is to advocate for fat people. And what is unique about fat people when it comes to size discrimination is what you just heard from the previous testimony, that we're expected to solve the problems ourselves by changing our bodies. We are told that weight loss is the obvious solution to size discrimination, but is it? Do we hope to solve injustice by telling the people who are experiencing injustice to change? We can do better than that, and Massachusetts will do better than that by passing this law in 2024. It is especially meaningful to me to join the hearing in Massachusetts today because Massachusetts is where I first learned about NAAFA. On my 18th birthday, I'm now 49, as a student at Smith College in Northampton, I attended a workshop called Larger Bodied Women at Smith's annual diversity conference. It was led by Carrie Hemingway, who spent 20 years of her professional life in Northampton and even more years of her life as an advocate for size acceptance across the state and beyond. From Carrie, I heard for the first time that fat did not have to be a bad word and that fat people could demand equality. That lesson fortified me against the discrimination I would face as a fat person throughout my life. Carrie passed away earlier this year and did not get to see this historic moment, but many like her, including feminist fat liberationists and other advocates who've worked against body hatred in Massachusetts since the 1970s, are watching today, watching this live stream and looking forward to your favorable report on this life-changing bill. Thank you.
Hello, I'm California Attorney Brandie Solovay. I'm honored to be here today to provide expert testimony. I am the legal director of the Independent Living Resource Center, San Francisco, and the supervising immigration attorney at the Bar Association of San Francisco's Homeless Advocacy Project. Because so many people face weight discrimination, I also run a pro bono project through my law firm called FLAIR, Fat Legal Advocacy, Rights and Education Project. I received many calls, but I received a call for help from someone I'll call Lisa. Lisa needed a kidney transplant. She had her doctor's support, and her own friend was willing to donate a kidney to her. But Lisa was fat. Not that fat, actually. Not as fat as I am, but fat enough to have a BMI higher than 35, which is the blanket cutoff to receive a transplant because of weight. Because of weight discrimination, she did not get this transplant. She died last year. Hers is not the first of this type of case. Discrimination based on weight happens in all aspects of a person's life. Kids are bullied in schools. They may not be able to find school uniforms that fit them. They literally do not fit in. As teenagers, they may be denied spots on the cheer team or dance team. In college, they may not fit into school desks. They may have a hard time socializing because even public venues like theaters and stadiums also do not have seats that fit them. Fat adults have more limited job opportunities because we don't look the part. Even thin people face weight discrimination, like the very muscular college graduate hoping to become a police officer, but he was over the weight limit because of his bodybuilding. Fat people face housing discrimination, possibly being denied housing or charged higher rent, or even facing direct hostility due to a landlord's stereotypes. The worst and most common cases are fat people who face discrimination because of the combination of their weight and their race. Black and brown people are disproportionately impacted by weight discrimination. This also unfairly impacts groups like transgender people who may be denied medical care like gender-affirming surgeries due to weight bias. Laws that protect fat people don't cost much. And the great thing is that laws make it very clear what people's rights and responsibilities are. Right now, some people are already protected under disability law, but it is not clear who and when. Adding height and weight protections makes it obvious that this discrimination is not allowed. Now is the time to make a difference. Thank you.